ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਭਾਸ਼ਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਖ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇੱਕ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜੋ ਨਸਲੀ ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਨਸਲੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਵਿਰੋਧ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਤੇ ਦੂਜਾ, ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਦਦ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਵਿੱਤੀ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਦਦ ਦੇਣ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ 2.2 ਬਿਲੀਅਨ ਡਾਲਰ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਵਿੱਤੀ ਮਦਦ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਵੇਗੀ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਮਦਦ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਗੈਸ ਟੈਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ। ਪਰ ਇਹ ਮਦਦ ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਦੋ ਵੱਖਰੀਆਂ ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਮਦਦ ਦੀਆਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵਾਰ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਮਾਈ ਵੀ ਘੱਟ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਵਿੱਤੀ ਮਦਦ ਦੀ ਅਹਿਮ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਕੱਠਿਆਂ ਹੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਵਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਦਦ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਵੇਗੀ। ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ। ਤੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਮੇਅਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਬੈਠਕ ਸਮੇਂ-ਸਮੇਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਣ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਸੂਬਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਤਾਂ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਨਸਲੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਨਸਲੀ ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਾਲੇ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਜੋ ਨਸਲੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਨਸਲੀ ਹਮਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਾਲੇ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਨਸਲੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਨਸਲੀ ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਨੇ। ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਪਨ 'ਚ ਇਹ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਜਾਣਾ ਕਿ ਉਸਦੇ ਰੰਗ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਨਸਲੀ ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਨਸਲੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੁਰਾ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਤੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤਮਈ ਢੰਗ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ, ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਢੰਗ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਨਾ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਣ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਹਿੰਸਾ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਧਾਰ ਲੈਣ।
It has been a very difficult spring for many people, and although the path forward won't be easy, things will get better. Over the last month, we've started to see promising signs that the curve is flattening in Canada. Now, the situation remains very serious, but the more we can control the spread of the virus, the more we can begin restarting. In many parts of the country, this is already happening. In others, where the situation remains more uncertain, steps are being taken more slowly. Every province and territory will have its own approach. But as we move forward with restarting the economy, we must keep working together. On Thursday, as part of our weekly call, I spoke to the premiers about collaboration on the path ahead. I'm working closely with them, just like with mayors and other leaders, on what this approach should include, because there are a whole range of issues that will require us to take action together. As I've said before, to keep Canadians safe, to give businesses the confidence to reopen their doors and people the confidence to walk through those doors, we need to cooperate on countrywide testing and contact tracing. And on this front, we're making good progress. At the same time, our government is ready to be a partner for the provinces and territories in supporting vulnerable people, securing personal protective equipment, and working on childcare, to name a few. In other words, we're ready to be a partner in a safe, effective restart of the economy. And today, we're demonstrating a first step forward with support for municipalities as they face a cash crunch. From testing clinics to programs for seniors, cities and towns provide essential services. So it's crucial that they have the resources they need. In response to COVID-19, we will make available $2.2 billion for municipalities in the coming weeks through their yearly federal support with the Gas Tax Fund. Normally, municipalities receive these payments in 2 installments, but we know that cities and towns need this money right away as they deal with COVID-19. That's why we're making the full 2020-21 payment available now. Minister McKenna has sent letters to all of her provincial and territorial counterparts to outline how this accelerated process will work. But here's the bottom line. This is strong support to keep Canadians safe and our communities strong. And it's support that will give businesses the confidence to reopen, getting hardworking Canadians back on the job. This is a start. We know there's more to be done to support municipalities and to support the entire reopening process. In the days and weeks to come, we'll keep working with the provinces and territories on this and on a whole range of other measures. For far too many Canadians, the images and stories coming out of the U.S. are all too familiar. As a country, we can't pretend that racism doesn't exist here. Anti-Black racism is real. Unconscious bias is real. And systemic discrimination is real, and they happen here in Canada. Over the weekend, we saw thousands of people gather across the country to join peaceful protests against anti-Black racism. By standing together and denouncing the few who would try to derail these demonstrations, Canadians are sending the message that they will never tolerate injustice. To young Black Canadians, I hear you when you say you are anxious and angry, when you say that this brings back painful experiences of racism that you've faced. I want you to know that I'm listening and that your government will always stand with you. Together, we will keep taking meaningful action to fight racism and discrimination in every form. The status quo, where people face violence because of the color of their skin, is unacceptable. No parent should have to once again explain to their kids that they or their friends might face racism. It is time, it is past time for this to change. As leaders and allies, we must do the hard work needed to listen and learn. We must ensure that everyone is safe and respected. That includes journalists, who need to be able to do their work on the front lines to expose the truth and tell the stories we need to hear. And we must, as Canadians, always keep working together to build a fairer, better, more equitable country for all. We need to do better in Canada. We need to continue to know that even though we have made strides forward in the fight against racism and discrimination, racism still exists in Canada. Anti-Black racism, systemic discrimination, unconscious bias are lived realities every day for millions of Canadians. We need to stand beside them. We need to be allies. We need to work in our daily lives to counter discrimination, racism, and intolerance. As a government, we've made many investments over the past 5 years, whether it's on community programs run by racialized communities, whether it's on Statistics Canada doing a better job at collecting disaggregated data, whether it's investments in anti-Black racism strategies or anti-racism strategies in general. But there is always more to do, and ultimately we need to do it together as Canadians and be better allies. As for those who took advantage of these peaceful protests to do significant damage to communities and stores, as we saw in Montreal, we have to condemn those actions strongly. They do not represent the peaceful protesters who are standing up for very real issues in Canada. We need to continue to make sure that peaceful protest is always able to happen in Canada. Clearer details on who is most vulnerable, who is being affected by various things in society. So that's something that we know, and it's traditionally been something difficult to do, so we are moving forward on that. In regards to COVID-19 data, we've been working with the provinces from the beginning to try and get better granularity, better details around the data. Whether it's as simple as age and gender or much more complex data, we need to pull that together, and a data strategy has been part of what we've been talking on with the provinces, because we need to be able to compare what's happening in one province to what's happening next, and making sure that we're all collecting data the same way and in as much detail as possible is going to be an important part of the path forward.
Yes, and on the G7 meeting, Donald Trump has said it will be postponed to the fall. Are you planning on attending, and do you support the U.S. proposal to expand the group to include Russia?
We have, we've always been working with the United States to coordinate when we can hold this important G7 meeting. It's really important to keep holding these meetings and making sure that we are coordinating internationally in this time of crisis. Russia was excluded from the G7 after it invaded Crimea a number of years ago, and its continued disrespect and flaunting of international rules and norms is why it remains outside of the G7 and will continue to remain out.
You've already touched on this, but a month ago, municipalities said transit revenues had dropped drastically, draining their coffers. Basic services such as policing and garbage collection are at risk. Why is this taking so long to remedy?
We have been a great partner to municipalities as best as we could over the past years in various situations, in various crises, including through the gas tax transfer. We know how important our cities and towns are to the success of Canadians, to the success of our country's economy. That's why we are working with the provinces on figuring out ways that municipalities can be helped. We respect the Constitution that says that it is to provinces to manage and fund municipalities, but at the same time we've looked for ways where we can make direct contributions to the municipalities, including through the gas tax transfer. That is something that we've moved forward today, so we can give more money more quickly to the cities, but we need to do more, and on that we will continue to work with the provinces and encourage the provinces to step up in helping cities.
And a follow-up, Jim?
In Canada, the legacy of racism against Indigenous peoples weighs heavily, as you know. Now the pandemic has delayed federal responses to important recommendations in that area. Is there a danger that some of these federal responses will simply slip away given other pressures and priorities now?
No relationship is more important to my government than the one with Indigenous peoples. We have taken significant steps towards reconciliation over these past 5 years, but there is much more to do. We are working in partnership with Indigenous leadership, with Indigenous communities, with Indigenous peoples across this country. Right now, in this challenge around COVID, many of our partner organizations are very much focused on supporting their communities. We continue to work on the strategy to fight gender-based violence and respond to the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls inquiry. But the work is affected because of COVID-19, but it remains a priority, not just for us, but for all Canadians, that we will continue to work on.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਨਿਰਮਲ ਮਾਨ ਊੜਾ ਡੈਟ ਸੈਟਲਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ। ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਟੀਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਭਰਪੂਰ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਟੀਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੇਠ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਦੇ ਬਟਨ ਦਬਾਓ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।